Hi everyone, welcome back to Storytime with Kelly. This is Storytime. This is probably going to be a part of the 1001 things your dysfunctional family never taught you, but because it's October, it's a special edition. So this thing that we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about boobs. Yes, we're going to talk about boobs. You know why? Well, number one, it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So if you are a woman like me who has forgotten to schedule her mammogram, you need to schedule it. So I'm going to schedule mine later today. I hope I can get in truly before the end of the year. But even if I can't, if I did do it in January, I will do it in January. But I wanted to talk a little bit about boobs because the little or big guys are kind of a divisive subject matter, well, for most of the world. There are some things I think we need to talk about though in the West about boobs. It all comes from this. Part of my life, you all may remember, is I am a costume designer and stylist. So a lot of what you see as a costume designer at the very beginning of a project, you will often have people come in, sometimes in their skivvies, because you have to see what they actually look like. Somebody may wear undergarments that make them look a different way, not good or bad, just different than how they actually are. And if I am gonna put them in a beautiful green silk dress, like from the movie Atonement, I need to know actually what does your form look like. That being said, I have realized that at least in the West, or at least in the United States, there are often a certain exact idea of what boobs should look like. And I didn't realize that I should say something about this until I saw some advertisements on Instagram from Third Love. And then right now, because it's October, Sam Disney, who is a felt artist, has done a few different pieces of artwork. And there's many other people, other artists that do pieces of artwork related to Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So I wanted to say this, and I'll try and keep this whole thing short. It's important to note that there's got to be at least 13 different kinds of ways that normal, healthy boobs look like. It doesn't mean that they all should be one way. It doesn't mean that this one way that we see all the time in the movies and in TV or in ads or in music videos, that certain kind of boob is the healthiest boob. No, that's not the case. So boobs can, well, often for most women, there's one that's a little bit smaller than the other, or you could say that there's one that's a little bit bigger than the other. Sometimes it can be half a cup size or a full cup. They can point slightly different directions. They can point downward, they can point upward. They can be centered, they can go off to the side. They can be wide set or inset. Typically when you move around, they're gonna move with you if you don't have implants. I'm not judging implants whatsoever at all. So if you don't know this information, it's kind of important. And I'm gonna do some study on this later this year because I have a theory and I think it's probably correct, but I need to dig in a little bit more. I can tell you from a little bit of information from fashion shows that have catwalks, things that you'll see in London, Paris, Milan, etc. In the past, it's kind of starting to change a little bit, but in the past, you would see very, very slender catwalk models. And they're beautiful because there's so many different kinds of beauty in the world. But you may or may not know, part of using a slender person walking down the runway is because, let's just pretend, I happen to have a marker and a piece of paper. Let's see if I can make this make sense. Let's pretend that you have a slender person here. And I have got this material that costs, let's just pretend this material costs $400 a yard. Maybe let's just say $500 to make it crazy. So if I am a fashion designer and I'm trying to figure out if this design is gonna sell or not, I'm basically showing you on my runway mock-ups, like perfectly done mock-ups, but full-on mock-ups that represent what this dress or outfit will be. But if this material costs me about $1,000 for 2 yards, which is not completely unheard of for fashion shows, if I choose someone that is more average size, they might take more material. So now this little dress, okay, we'll do it this way. Let's just pretend that this is a little cape dress. Here we go, so something like this. So let's pretend that this is a 6 foot tall model, runway model. And for whatever reason, this is our design. I probably wouldn't design this, but you can see it. So let's pretend that this is our design. Now let's pretend that Maybe, I wish I had something near me, but let's just go crazy. Let's pretend I am making an outfit for someone maybe 7 foot tall, or 7.5 feet tall. Or I'm making something that's, instead of it for a size 0, it's for a size 10. Well, now this material that I have, that's $1,000 for 2 yards. Now, if I'm going to make, I'm just using my coffee mug. If I'm gonna make a catwalk design outfit for that, you can see now I don't have enough material. So now this one outfit that I may or may not even sell, maybe there's not a lot of interest or popularity, and maybe I don't get a lot of pre-orders. If this material costs me, $1,000 for 2 yards, and now I'm gonna need possibly at least another 2 yards, which is not a big amount of cloth, then all of a sudden that mock-up went from, from $1,000 to $2,000 on something I might not sell. So in that same concept, that is part of why you see tall, very, very, very svelte and slender catwalk models, because there was a utilitarian purpose to it, not just their beauty, but hey, the cost may happen there. So to get back to boobs, now I've often also had this idea that is related to the fashion catwalk concept that I've talked about, is that at some point, some man somewhere, maybe the only, I don't have a better way to say this, and I feel like I'm articulate, but I just don't have a better way to say this. It's possible that somebody shooting a movie, a fashion shoot, whatever, had a woman that looked a certain way with her chest. She was a certain size, and it looked like they were of a certain exact shape, etc. So that maybe advertently or inadvertently started to become a standard. There is this idea of the perfect boob that every woman should have. If she didn't have that, then something's wrong with her. Well, that being said, that's not true. There's all different kinds of sizes of boobs, as you see across the world. And then also the shapes, how they lay on the body, how they move, etc. The reason we talk about this, if we look out through history, if we look through, which is pretty cool, anytime we see like Egyptian busts from the Great Pyramid era, I mean, that's not what it's called, but you get the idea. So you see all of these different queens that were, topless, because that was the way of the time, and you can see how their boobs looked. Those boobs were normal, healthy boobs. So if they're slightly pointy, if they're smaller, if they're larger, if they're high set, meaning here's your sternum and they come up a little bit higher, that's not typical of every single boob set, but it's not unnormal either. And if they're really low set, same thing. That's pretty typical, that's not unnormal. And that's mainly one of the reasons I wanted to bring this out, is a lot of us go through our whole lives being told by Western culture that if your boobs don't look like this exact same thing that you see in a movie or a television show or on that model or that actress in a dress on the red carpet, then your boobs are bad. They're not attractive. There's something wrong with them. There's something wrong with you. You've got a lower class boob. That is a lie. And that lie needs to stop. So I encourage you for a couple of things here in Breast Cancer Awareness Month. The only thing I should be concerned about with my breast is, are they healthy? Are they cancer-free? Are they disease-free? How are they doing? And how do they affect my own health across my body? As far as they look, the rest of that is often superficial. It really comes down to, what do you like? As many things in our looks come down to, what do you like? So I want you to be non-self-conscious about your boobs. If you ever talk to the person, a woman that does mammograms, she's not the doctor, but she's the person that actually does the mammograms. You just ask her how many different kinds of boobs she thinks there are, and you're gonna get some amazingly good answers. So I want you to be proud of your boobs. I want you to take care of your boobs. As you know from one of my other videos, my mom had a very rapid case of breast cancer when I was in my junior year in high school. She survived, but it was very, very brutal. Many women don't survive. Many women have to have surgery. So there's so many different things when it comes to breast cancer that we're not willing to talk about. And it's all because people feel some kind of way about boobs. Well, we need to get over that. We should be happy with our boobs in general, however they are, as long as they are healthy. I know that's really easy to say, but it is absolutely true. So I invite you to make some comments, try and keep them clean-ish if you can. Once again, I do have young family that watches these videos even though they're not supposed to. So go feel good. If you haven't scheduled your mammogram visit, you need to. If you don't have insurance, right now that happened to me a few years ago where I didn't have insurance. See if your local city or state has anything to support you with that. Most do. And go and take care of yourself and take care of your boobs and be proud of your boobs. Bye everyone. I hope you have a great week.